I Go to London Part 3. Hello, I hope you are feeling well. First, I want to remind you that there is the Part 1 and 2 to this story. If you have not watched it yet, visit my channel and watch it so you can understand the whole story well. My name is Sam. I am a student of English. This is my story. I want to tell you about my life in London. I want to tell you about my fantastic teacher. You can read my story. You can learn English with me. Chapter 1. How I Remember Words. On Wednesday, I go to school again. At the beginning of the lesson, one student says, I started to read more. I feel that it is good for me. I can see how my grammar is better. But I have a problem. When I read and I don't know a word, I look at the word in a dictionary. Then I continue reading. Sometimes when I see the same word again 10 minutes later, I don't remember the word and I have to look at it again. Can you help me to remember the words better? Our teacher says that it is an interesting question and she gives this explanation. It is normal that you don't remember the new word immediately. Usually, you will have to look at the word 5 times before you remember it. There will be also words which you will have to see 10 or 15 times. These words are usually verbs. When we learn a new word, the word goes through phases. Only when you achieve the last phase, you remember the word very well. There are 5 of these phases. We can look at them now. The first phase is the moment when you see the word for the first time and you don't know the word. You look at the word in the dictionary. The second phase is the moment when you see the word for this second time. You know that you saw this word before, but you still don't remember its meaning. You look at the word in the dictionary again. The third phase is the moment when you see the word again and you feel what it could mean but you are not sure. For example, you know that the word is some kind of object or some animal or a verb. The fourth phase is the moment when you already know what the word means when you see it but you are not able to remember the word when you want to say it. When this phase happens, the word is in your passive vocabulary. The fifth phase is the moment when you are able to use the word when you speak. Now you can see there are 5 phases altogether. Do you understand now why it is not possible to remember a new word when you see it for the first time? It is usually not possible to jump across all the phases with the first meeting with the word. You have to see or hear every word many times and let the word go through all the phases. You can be happy not only when you learn a new word perfectly but also when you get from one phase to the other. When it happens, you are closer to the final goal and it is to use the word without problems in everyday communication. It is interesting to me. I didn't know about these phases, but it is all logical. I also have this experience when I look at a new word in the dictionary but 2 minutes later I don't know what the word means and I have to look at the word again. I feel stupid when I don't remember the word. Now, I know that it is okay not to remember the word forever I see it for the first time. I need more meetings with the word before I can use the word well. After school, I go to my football training. Our coach tells us that there is a match on Saturday. The school team will play against another school team from Cambridge. Our coach tells me to come and play for the school team. I am very happy and I am looking forward to the Saturday match. Moral: When you want to remember a new word, you need to see or hear the word about 10 times. Chapter 2. How I Improve Listening. The next day, I go to school again. One of the students has an important question. He wants to know how to improve his listening skills. She wants to know what the best method is. Our teacher says, "Thank you for your question. Good listening skills are very important for communication. If you don't understand what people are saying, it will be difficult for you to speak with them." There are a lot of materials on the internet for students of English. Some students can have a problem to choose the right listening materials for them. Now I want to tell you what materials you can use for listening. There are two types of materials which you can use for listening. You can listen to some audio or you can watch a film. These are two different types of materials. When you listen to some audio, it is good to know 95% of the words or more. If the audio has a lot of new words, read the text first if possible and look at all new words in the dictionary. When you practice listening, you practice getting information from a spoken language. You don't try to learn new words. Of course, sometimes you can learn new words, but it is not the main goal. When you listen, concentrate on getting information from spoken English. It is important to use materials at your level of English. For example, you can use books in simplified English which have an audio recording. I really recommend these books to you. They are fantastic because you can choose a book at your level of English. When you have such a book, read the book first and then listen to the recording at home or when you travel. You can read two great books at www.robinsoncrusoeinlevels.com or www.thelittleprinceInlevels.com. You can also visit www.newsinlevels.com if you like listening to the news. All these materials are in 3 levels of English. The second type of materials for listening practice are films and videos on www.youtube.com. These are also very good. You can start to use them when you know 2,000 words in English or more. This is what you should do with a film. Watch it for the first time with subtitles so that you know the story of the film. Then watch the film without subtitles. If you like the film very much, you can watch it more than once. When you watch one film many times, with every view, you can understand more. It is also good to watch videos on the internet about interesting subjects. For example, if you like nature, you can watch documentaries about nature. You can also watch reality shows. Reality shows are much easier to understand than films or documentaries because the structure of the show is usually the same. It is necessary to have at least 30 minutes of listening every day. When you listen to English materials, always look at what you already understand. It can be only 10% at the beginning. It is better than 0%. Continue to listen and soon it can be 20 or 3%. Always look at what you already know. Be happy for every new sentence which you understand. Does this information help you? Yes, says the student, thank you. The listening topic is very interesting for me. Now I know what to do when I want to be better at listening. Moral: when you want to be good at listening, listen for 30 minutes every day. Chapter 3. What you need before you start. On Friday, we have an interesting conversation in our class. Our teacher has a question for us. She asks, "Do you remember your first impulse to learn English? Do you remember the moment when you started to learn English?" I say that I remember the moment when I started to be interested in English. My teacher says, "Can you tell us about this moment?" I say, "Yes. First I have to say that English wasn't always my favorite subject. I started to learn English at high school. At the beginning, it was very difficult for me. I didn't understand the structure of the language. It was illogical to me. I tried to remember words. I tried to learn grammar, but it was very hard to me. When I finished high school, I was still only a beginner. I couldn't speak English and I believed that I couldn't learn this language. I believed that English wasn't for me. Then something happened. I always liked music, and when I was 20, I started to listen to the Beatles. I wanted to understand their songs. So I started to translate the texts of their songs. Slowly I understood more and more. Then I met two ladies from England on a train. We had a simple conversation, but it helped me very much. I started to believe that I could learn English. From that moment, I was working on my English almost every day and I was better and better. Then I started to go to the school. My teacher thanks me for telling my story. She also tells me, "Here is something very interesting about your story. First, you didn't have motivation to learn English. Then you had a motivation. You want to understand songs. You can see that motivation is very important. When you have it, you can learn English. When you don't have it, it is very hard to be successful." Then our teacher asks everybody in the class about their motivation to learn English. The story are very interesting. One girl's motivation is to be able to read historical books in original English. One student wants to be a professional tennis coach in England. He wants to speak perfect English before he starts his career as a coach. One woman wants to work for a big international company and she needs English for her job. I can see that everybody has some motivation to use English in real life or to get information from books. At the end of the lesson, our teacher asks us if we like English. I say, I didn't like English at my high school, but now I like it a lot. I can see how useful it is to know this language. Our teacher says, this is another important factor when you learn a new language. It is good when you like something which is connected to English. It can be people, music, culture, or history. If you like English, it is easier for you to learn it. If you want to communicate in English, it is good to know 3,000 words or more. If you don't like English, it is more difficult to find time to practice. Then it is difficult to get to the level of 3,000 words. I can agree with my teacher. Now, I like the Beatles, but also my teacher and my boss, who is also English. I also like English. I also like English humor. Now, it is much easier for me to find time to practice English every day. On Saturday, I go to play football for my school team. We have some very good players on our team and we win 3-2. We are all very happy. We go to the pub after the match and we celebrate our victory. Moral: when you want to learn English, you need to have motivation to use English every day. Advice: when you want to learn English, read, listen, and speak. Do each activity for 30 minutes every day. Goodbye, see you soon. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe for more videos. See you in our comments.